First, let's bring in Ohio Congressman and member of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Welcome back to the show.
Lindsay, thank you for having me.
All right, to be clear for our viewers, President Trump also had a plan of removing troops from Afghanistan, but Biden's plan has been much sooner and clearly has gone wrong somewhere. So where was the intelligence failure here?
Well, you know, even the intelligence assessments that were made public predicted this, that the Afghan military was would be unable to hold Afghanistan. You know, recall President Biden, when he announced his plan, said that we're not going to run for the exits, but that's exactly what his administration did, even doing so in the middle of the night, not preparing the Afghan military. They left them with no plans to be able to defend the country and didn't even give them notice as to what they were doing. The big difference between what the Trump administration was going to do and the Biden administration is the Trump administration was negotiating with the Taliban, and the United States would have been the enforcer of any agreement that's there. Here, Biden has merely left the country. And as we know, this is not a civil war. It's not as if once the Taliban take control that we're going to have peace. They're a barbaric group. There is no peace, even in the areas in which they had controlled previously. They are murderous. They're raping children throughout the country. They're pillaging. This is truly a travesty. This will be a humanitarian crisis, and it will result in a refugee crisis.
Congressman Turner, we've given effectively unlimited resources to the Afghan forces, and here's what Pentagon spokesperson said about it.
They have greater numbers. They have an Air Force, a capable Air Force, which, oh, by the way, is flying more airstrikes than we are every day. They have modern equipment. They have organizational structure. They have the benefit of the training that we have provided them over 20 years.
People, equipment, money, training. Why aren't they able to hold the Taliban off? I mean, do you think that we naively trusted the Afghan forces to do what they said they would do? And, you know, should we have faith in them at this point?
Well, you know, the statement you just ran is really sort of disingenuous to the current situation that we have, because the current situation, obviously, we're not there. The problem is what the Biden administration has done is our military was integral and integrated into the Afghan national forces. So their movements, their conducting operations were not separate from us. And indeed, they were even incorporated within NATO because, as you know, we were in Afghanistan as a result of the attack against the United States for 9/11, and Article 5 under the NATO agreement accords were resulted in the NATO countries standing beside us. So there was an integrated command. When you rip that away and you don't provide an actionable plan or an actionable structure to be able to defend the country, you're going to get this result. The Biden administration, by pulling the rug out from underneath the Afghan people, by leaving in the middle of the night, left no contingency plan, didn't even tell them what America was doing, and have left them in the situation that they're in. Certainly the Trump administration would not have done this in this manner because it was guaranteed for this result.
Congressman, we have the Taliban. They've already taken over the large city of Kandahar, and reports have it that they are marching towards Kabul, the capital city there. One, where is the fear of American retaliation here? And what should the U.S. response be if they do take over Kabul?
Yeah, see, here's a problem. You know, I've been obviously in and out of Afghanistan and Kandahar, Kabul, in my work on the Armed Services Committee, and the Afghan people do not support the Taliban. So this really is a travesty where they are taking this territory and taking these cities, where the population that's been there has been subject to attacks from the Taliban, subject to car bombings and the like. This is really going to be a travesty for the people that live there. Now, in addition to, though, are having a mission where we went in because of al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. We then had the mission to support the Afghan national military against the Taliban to ensure they didn't take back over the country. But the third one was the counterterrorism, to ensure that Afghanistan didn't return to al-Qaeda and to ISIS. And unfortunately, that's a mission that we're not able to do outside of Afghanistan. It's one of the criticisms to the Biden administration's plan. But now, as Afghanistan is falling to the Taliban, we're not going to have a place from which to operate, either in counterterrorism against ISIS or al-Qaeda, or in support of the Afghan national military.
Well, to that point, Congressman, over the last few months, President Biden has effectively removed all remaining U.S. forces, and yet here we are, a matter of weeks later, and we're sending 3,000 troops back to protect the evacuation of remaining U.S. civilians. So I guess my question is, are we likely to have a permanent U.S. military presence in Afghanistan?
Well, at this point, the way that it's going, we won't have an ability to do so. And Seth, you were so right when you were talking about, the Pentagon saying that there's not going to be, this airlift evacuation. Of course, that there is. When the Biden administration first announced this and then left in the middle of the night, I was saying this looked more like a surrender than a withdrawal. Now it's an evacuation. That shows how this is escalated to the point where there's really not going to be no options for the United States, just as there's not going to be any options for the Afghan people.
Congressman, I want to play something for you that Jen Psaki said about the Taliban's role in the international community. Listen.
Yeah.
The Taliban also has to make an assessment about what they want their role to be in the international community.
So why are we letting terrorist organizations decide what their role will be?
Well, this is just one of those left-wing liberal statements that are always befuddling, I think, to anybody who looks at international policy specifically through a security lens. The Taliban don't care about the international community. I mean, they are raping children, they're plundering, they're burning, they're murdering. This is not an issue of like they want to be part of a club, but that maybe Biden will recognize them in the future and they'd be invited to lunch to the high school cafeteria. This is a murderous, barbaric group. You can't chastise them from the spokesperson of the White House to be able to get them to not plunder this country. The only way you could have done that is through a coordinated response to support the Afghan national military to ensure that they could withstand these type of assaults. And as you know, we've all known that in Afghanistan, the fighting season to the Taliban has always been in August. And the Biden administration left in August, when they're at their peak every year.
Congressman, I only have seconds left, but I do want to ask you this before we go, because reports are saying that China will recognize the Taliban as the leader of Afghanistan if they take over. What does that do to the U.S.-China relationship? Only 30 seconds.
Well, it should, I think, be very damaging, but the Biden administration has been so complacent to China, it will have no effect. But certainly for our policies, we should swiftly and very, very strongly respond.
Congressman, appreciate your time here tonight. We'll have to have you back because it doesn't look like things are getting better over there anytime soon.
Thank you.
All right.